Hello, hey, good morning. Happy Thursday or happy day, whatever it might be. Getting you going. Oh, yeah, just double checking the things on the computer. So good. It's not too bad for brightness. I'll check this out. How's it going today? Yeah, let me know if you are joining in. What's going on? How you doing? And today is our Happy Hips Day, where we will work on our hip area. Got some tension, got some tightness in there. Well, let's try to work some of that out. Doreen, good morning. You were like on it, like right here with a comment and ready to go. I left my phone and my coffee in the next room. So I'm just gonna run up and grab it. You can roll out your mat and get your coffee. I'm back. Sorry about that. Turns out I was reheating it and boiled over literally everywhere. So, hi, Lisa. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome back. How you feeling? Did you do yesterday's flow at any point? Oh, it was a gooder. If not, that's a-okay. All right, let's get one more light on here. I was trying to, there we go, do it with just one less, but that's a little better. Okay, well, I got my coffee, or I made tea, spilt it everywhere. I tried to get it cleaned up in the 4 seconds I was away. Let's get her going. I know my happy hips are a lot of reclined poses and a decent amount of seated, but I wanted to give you guys some standing hip openers and stretches and stabilizers today. So that's what we're gonna work towards. Working with some of that kind of movement. So, yeah, that's just where we're going. What's the game plan? It won't necessarily be a hard class. We'll try to keep it gentle in nature with that option to build it up. But we will get going from there. What else we got here? No, you didn't catch it yesterday. Yeah, that's fair. There's Canada Day. Hope you all got to do at least something fun. I don't know if you guys have been off during COVID or still trying to work from home or some kind of combination of the two, but I had a full day off and it was really delightful. So got to do yoga in the morning and then do all sorts of fun things throughout the day. Nothing too wild and crazy, but that's what it is. All right, so let's settle down into our mats. Roll it on out, find that beginning position you want to start in. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but just in case anyone new is catching this video for the first time, I have no rules to my starting positions or even to my Shavasana or really any game plan. If you just want to listen to me and hang out in Shavasana the entire time, that'd be a great option. Very healing and restorative for your body, tons of benefits to Shavasana and meditation. Or if you want to go gung-ho, if I inspire you to do a whole different sequence, pose, or movement, great option too. But I like to give that freedom, especially at the beginning here, because sometimes sitting cross-legged is not an option, and I don't have that expectation. And so there's your freedom. I actually prefer to start laying down. That is how, if I'm teaching in a studio setting, that's how I roll, but I kind of like to have a little engagement with the camera right off the bat, so it's not just you watching me lay on the floor. Thought that'd be a little more entertaining for us all. So if you want to start laying down, great option. Your knees can be bent, your feet can be planted. Even if you're sitting, you can sit with like the knee in or out, You can sit with two legs extended nice and long. Really, if there is a position that works best for you. The whole point of this beginning part is to A, get a little comfy, and B, start to notice why is it comfortable. What's going on with your body? Is if you're laying in a certain way, is it because your shoulders are really open and it feels better to roll them back and down? Notice if you try that, opens up through the collarbone, makes it a little bit easier to start to take that breath. Maybe, I don't know, you just start to notice into the body and start to sense into how you're feeling. And that is what we start off with. Because as you start to notice the body and notice those areas of tension, those little shadow areas, I like to call them, those dark spots within us, then you can adapt and work with them. Even just simply acknowledging them is the first step. And then you can also notice those areas that feel really good and have some gratitude for some of those spaces as well. That attitude of gratitude can really change the world. So we can start by changing our world on our mat. Step one, within us. How cool. So go ahead and do that scan throughout. Start to notice all of those things and maybe even start to connect in with the breath. Maybe you start to just notice the inhales and the exhales. Maybe you start to notice how deep you're breathing. Are you just hanging out on the top part of the lungs? Odds are just by being cueing to notice it, you've already changed your breath from whatever it was before. And so starting to deepen it and starting to breathe a little bit more into that abdomen, engaging the diaphragm to breathe is a really healthy way to take a big inhale and exhale. Really kind of just nourishes into the body. Yeah, can't quite think of the exact stats behind the diaphragmatic breath. I talked about that yesterday. That was yesterday's breath. And this week, we're taking different breath techniques, exploring them, trying them out, and adding them into our practice. And so as you're settling in, hopefully by now you're nice and comfy or nice and aware of the body and of the breath. We're going to work our way up to some 4-part breathing or square breath. And so I really like this breath because it takes time to recognize the pause. Notices the pause that happens at the end of the exhale. And the pause that happens at the end of an inhale. Maybe you've never noticed these before, but simply just take a big breath in and let it go. Notice how the body just takes a little moment to reset before you take another big inhale in. And then you'll notice there's a smaller little pause that happens at the end of that inhale, which is really cool. Is that Donna? Donna, where have you been? Welcome back. Okay, back to breathing. So, starting to notice those little pauses. So as you're working with some of those inhales, really kind of breathe it in. Take that exhale, let it go. Step one is just noticing those pauses, noticing the inhale and the exhale. And then to add on the squareness of the breath, I love to imagine a window. And so I start simply by noticing how long an inhale takes. So I add a little count to that big breath in. And just seeing what it naturally is. You can let it go. You can take another one just to, double check your number or just to see if that's the truth of that breath. Breathing in, adding that little count in. Keeping that number in mind. Now let's take 2 more breaths and we'll start to notice the length of the exhale. So breathing it in, maybe to that same count that you had before, not trying to change it, just working with it. And then as you exhale, add a count to that exhale. Noticing, are those numbers different? Are you manipulating them already to be the same? That's okay. Usually our exhales are a little bit longer by like 2 or 3 counts, which is a great way to stay relaxed. So just noticing that there, having our exhale be roughly twice as long as our inhale is actually the most relaxing breath you can take. A nice, long, slow exhale. But that'll be for another day. Today we're working on just noticing the inhales and the exhales. and then noticing those little pauses. Now, ideally in our square breath, every part of the breath is the same amount of time, which can be quite a challenge to get to. So I imagine my square and I say that inhale comes across, making just the top frame of the window. Then you notice the pause being the same length as it is that inhale. And then you take the time to slowly exhale, having that be the same number. And then once you start to breathe out, here's the hardest one, is not taking your inhale, having that full pause, and bring you back to the top of the window or the top of your square. So let's give that a little bit of a try. We'll take a few of them together. So I'm going to get ready and take my inhale, breathing in. I'm going to just draw the square because it even helps me. Noticing the pause, holding, not exhaling yet. Adding that exhale in. Not inhaling yet. And taking that pause. Breathing in, taking that nice big inhale. Adding that pause in. Starting to take that exhale. Adding that pause. One more inhale. Little pause. Exhale. Little pause. So you can continue on with that square breath if you'd like. I know it can be quite challenging, but I think it really confronts us with a little bit of scarcity mindset, especially during those pauses. Did you start to feel your heart rate maybe start to beat a little bit faster, that little flutter of, am I going to take that next breath, especially if you're not used to holding your breath at all? That can be quite intimidating. I always start with just a straight up a count of 3 or 4. For all of them. I know my exhale can easily be 8, 10, maybe even 12 if I'm really getting into a big exhale, but I find those pauses are the hardest to hold for those 3 or 4. So that's square breathing. Great task for the mind because you really have to focus on it. And so if you're in your Shavasana or if you're in some kind of a meditation class, that is a fantastic breath to bring with you and to have in your tool belt, because if your mind is wandering all over the place, come to square breathing. It'll distract you at least for a solid 3 to 5 minutes, and if you keep it going, it's just a great anchor, great little task for the mind as you're trying to focus in and kind of let the body do its thing. So that's that. Let's take just a nice big cleansing inhale, really breathing it in. Take that exhale side out. Maybe we set a little intention for our class today. Let's not forget that either. Now that we've done some breathing and we're feeling good, what do we want to have our purpose for this class be? What are you hoping to get out of it? Mine's a couple sips of tea while you think about it, and maybe you repeat it a few times within. Taking that another nice breath, and let's start to wake up the body. A little wiggle into fingers, a little wiggle into toes, rolling wrists and ankles. Maybe just gently rock the head from side to side, even if you're laying down, still nice. What would be a great way just to get a little movement in. I'm just going to roll through the shoulders a little bit. And if you are laying down, let's start in seated today. We'll hopefully finish off in a nice reclined position. So come on up to a seated position. It doesn't have to be cross-legged, or even if you're cross-legged, looks totally different than mine. That's awesome. Let it be true for you is one thing I love to say. So making your way into seated, maybe you wiggle some of the extra flesh away so you can feel those sits bones connecting in with the ground, with the mat. Feel how, as soon as you can feel into that, maybe it straight up feels uncomfortable, you're not used to it. but it'll start to add some more length to the spine. So press into those sits bones. See if you can kind of press them down in towards the mat. Notice how you just got a little bit taller. And then take that inhale and really expand the spine nice and long. Have a little tuck of the chin. You're as tall as you possibly can. Take that exhale, roll the shoulders back and down. And pull those floating ribs in, that slight engagement of the core, belly button to spine. And let's take another nice inhale, just kind of lengthening here, playing around with lengthening through the spine. And take that exhale, stay relaxed through the shoulders, keep that nice strong engagement through the core. Let's add some movement in. Inhaling to reach it up. Exhale. Oh, excuse me. Oh, just scared my dog. Hi, sorry, sneeze. Letting it out. Can't suppress those. Take an inhale. And a few of those exhales, warm it up through the shoulders a little bit, warm it up through the spine. We'll get to the hips, but we gotta just have some movement throughout the body, connecting in with those breaths. Maybe to include that square breath, you inhale, reach it up, hold for a little second, and then exhale, pull the hands down, maybe press into the hands as you hold for just a little second. Inhale, reach it up, little pause. Exhale, bring it down, little pause. So good. Let's take one more. Just reaching it up and holding. If you want to make it real gentle, you can have a big bend to the elbows. Or if you want to add a little more, you're really trying to lengthen through the arms, reaching up nice and tall. And even more still, arms or hands come apart, not holding on to each other. So using a little more arm strength to keep reaching up. Let's take that exhale over towards the left. I feel like holding on to a wrist, so that's what I'm going to do. Keep reaching. Maybe the gaze goes up to open up a little bit more through that top shoulder. Nice. Inhale, full exhale. Come all the way back up. Come right over towards the other side. I'm going to hold on to opposite wrist now just to add that extra little pull. Roll that top shoulder open. Keep pressing the legs down nice and strong. And keep holding, maybe reach a little farther, feel that nice big stretch. Come all the way up. Stretch now with both hands, reaching up, opening up through the underarms, through the rib cage. Exhale. Hands to heart. Let's take a nice little bow. Maybe resting elbows on knees, pressing hands down into floor. If you have a preference between the two, go right ahead. Maybe you walk those hands forward. Maybe you have a nice little tuck of the chin, extending the head nice and long. I like to create a little pull sensation into the hands just to help lengthen. So my back is nice and flat here, rolling those shoulder blades back and down, and that little pull through the hands just to get a little extra stretch in. And release, come all the way back up. And let's switch the feet, opposite foot on top or in front. Coming just into that non-dominant side might feel a little awkward. Let's take an inhale, reaching it up. Just getting a little more stretch in. Exhale, hands to heart. Taking a few more and maybe add that little pause in. Inhale and reach it up. Little pause. Exhale, draw the hands down. Little pause. Inhale, sweep it up. Nice pause. Exhale, hands to heart. Little pause. Beautiful. Let's reach right arm up towards the sky. Left hand reaches either towards the knee, the hip, the center of the foot, and just starting to twist or reaching over, coming into a bit of a side bend. Elbow can be planted down as well. And that's a nice option. But as you start reaching for the knee, you might notice a little bit of rotation that happens. Heart reaches up towards the ceiling. So it's a bit of a side bend, bit of a twist. Nice combination of the two. See if you can really start to feel that through the rib cage, through that little sideline of the body. And take a nice big inhale. See if you can lengthen. Exhale. See if you can soften through the shoulders. So good. And let's start to release. Come on back towards center. Getting ready to come into the other side. Left arm reaches up, starting that nice big stretch. Other arm hangs out either on the feet, maybe the elbow comes down, starting to slide over. Maybe you reach for the knee or the hip. And starting to lift and rotate, trying to align that heart center, reaching up. Nice big reach. Maybe start to reach overhead. Noticing just that little pull through some different ways of the muscle than we usually get into. I really love this one for that. Nice big inhale. See if you can lengthen. Exhale. See if you can soften. Let's come on back up. Reach it up. Come back towards neutral. Placing just the hands on the knees. Roll those shoulders back and down. Inhale. Get nice and tall. And let's reach for opposite knee. Hand extends out front and starts to sweep all the way around. Just coming into a neutral twist. Hand can plant back behind you. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Feeling that nice connection. Just feeling nice with rotation through the spine. Maybe you're actively pressing those shoulders, one back, one forward. Accentuating that twist through the spine. Let's release. Coming back towards center, reaching for that opposite knee now. Hand spins out in front, goes all the way around, presses in, take that inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, twisting nice and deep. Maybe you start to press into those hands, maybe start to rotate, pressing those shoulders. Maybe the gaze goes back behind you. So good. Take another inhale. See if you can add a more length in. Exhale. See if you can add a little more depth in. Beautiful twist. And let's release. Come on back towards center. And take a nice big inhale breath. Exhale. Roll those shoulders down. And let's make our way into our all fours position. So rolling into that nice tabletop. Stacking knees and hips, wrists and shoulders. Maybe stealing a little sip of tea. Fingers are nice and wide. And take that inhale breath, start to look up and start to drop that belly down, arching through the spine. Everything kind of sags really low. But if you want that little extra, press into the hands, extend the head nice and long. Totally just changes it for me. Feels wonderful. And start to tuck the chin, rounding through the spine, pressing the spine up towards the sky now. Big stretch, really pressing into those shoulders. And if you want that little more, take a nice inhale, start to come into your little cow pose, dropping that belly down, looking up, maybe pressing into those hands. Imagine spinning the shoulders out, making the eyes of the elbows point forward, and having that nice engagement all the way through. Nice and slow, transitioning that, pressing the spine upward. So good. Let's come to a nice neutral, flat back. Wanting to work with the toes and the feet a little bit this morning. So I have the shoelace side of my feet down. Also going to sneak in some core work here, so you're welcome. It's important, keeps everything really good. So take that inhale, lengthen, take that exhale, draw the belly button up in towards the body. Nice and strong, core is active, nice flat back, that low back is nice and engaged. And then start to press really hard into the hands like you couldn't possibly push any harder. Notice how probably your knees and your feet started to press down a little extra as well. And let's accentuate that into the feet, pressing into the feet, almost like you could start to float the knees up. And if you want to just hang out here, this is our most gentle option. You feel that nice engagement, keep that core engaged. If you want a little more, we're pressing extra into the feet, knees coming to a bit of a hover. Still pressing nice and strong. Feel that core engaged. Feel those feet. Be so nice and strong. Knees just hovering for 3, 2, and 1. Drop the knees down and give those feet a little pat. Maybe you're getting a little cramp in your arches. Maybe you're feeling it extra through some of the muscles there. Not used to using those feet muscles in that way. You can take a little sway as well, should you prefer that. Or shake out the wrists. All right, let's find our stillness. This time we're going to tuck the toes under. This one is actually easier, so we got the hard one out of the way first. And take that inhale, lengthen. Exhale, engage the core. Activating into that low back. Keep those fingers nice and wide so you have lots of surface area to press into. Start to press extra. Maybe even kind of roll those shoulders back and down. activating into the sides of the body as well. Then start to press into those toes. Feel that nice engagement. Maybe those knees come to a little bit of a hover. And pressing into those toes, each one of them so nice and strong. Keep that core nice and engaged. Keep extending the head nice and tall. Holding here for 3, 2, and 1. And drop the knees down. Give those feet a little pat. Maybe you shake out the wrists, giving them a little break. Excellent. Take that nice inhale. Nice full exhale. Beautiful. Let's do one more round. Bringing the shoelace side of our feet down, untucking those toes, and pressing into those hands. Still always that option to not actually lift the knees up. Working on building up some of that strength in the hands, the feet, the core. Pressing in, start to press into those tops of the foot. Nice and strong. Maybe those knees come up just an inch or 2. Nice and strong through that core. Keep drawing that belly button inward. Keep that nice strong engagement for 3, 2, and 1. Knees can come down, release however you need to. Maybe it's the wrists, maybe it's the feet. Beautiful. Last little engagement on this side here. Big inhale, exhale, engage. Tuck those toes under, start to press into those hands, into the toes. Maybe you're just feeling that nice engagement, nice stretch on the feet. Maybe those knees come up for that nice little hover. Hanging out here, nice and strong for 3, 2, and 1. Knees come back down. Untuck the feet. Maybe you shake out the wrist, take that nice little sway. So good. Beautiful. And let's give those wrists a little bit break. Maybe just walk the hands forward, melting the heart down, coming into a nice puppy pose. Or you can sit back on your feet, taking that child's pose. You can adjust the knees if you want that wide knee child's pose. I like the puppy pose because it adds a little bit of a back bend in. Feels good, keeps my arms nice and active, while still being restorative. Nice inhale breath. Exhale. One more breath here, breathing it in. Noticing that little pause. Exhale, release. Notice that little pause. Then start to bring those hands back to a neutral position. We're going to work our way up to standing. Should you prefer not to go through downward dog, your choice. And to come up however you want. But the yogi way, or the way we're working on today, is through that downward dog. So pressing into the hands, toes tucked, practicing that same motion. Pressing hard into the hands, pressing into the toes. Knees start to lift, hips go up. Press extra into the arms so you transition it into this weird downward dog plank. Into that nice long downward dog. So strong. Dropping the head down, maybe you're staring at your feet, maybe you pedal it out. Getting a nice stretch through the calf, starting to activate that back line of the body. So good. Let's look towards the front of our mat. Hop, step, jumper, tiptoe, or take a couple little steps into that nice forward fold. Having a nice little dangle here. Maybe you start to feel that through the hamstrings. Take that nice inhale. Exhale. Can you let it go a little bit more? Imagine that hinge from the hips really starting to happen. Push that tailbone up a little higher. No expectation here that you are able to touch your toes. That's such an odd way that we learned in school of telling fitness. Means, can you touch your toes? I mean, what does that tell you? The only thing that tells you is the length of your hamstrings. And so if you've got longer hamstrings, you can easily reach down and touch your toes. If you've got shorter hamstrings, you may be up a little higher and you don't quite reach, or maybe you're up significantly higher if you've got real short hamstrings. And that's the only difference between it. And so if you were taught growing up that you're healthy if you can touch your toes. I'd like to tell you that that doesn't actually tell you very much. I release you from that shame of maybe not being able to. And I mean, planting your hands in your legs also feels wonderful. And so you're not missing out on anything by not being able to touch the ground. I mean, one day I'd love to be able to get palms down on the ground, but it's all about hamstrings, man. Mine are tight, so that's why we're hanging out here. Having some fun being upside down is good for the brain, good for proprioception, knowing where you are in space. If you want to work on that, try closing your eyes. Notice just how you feel right away. You become suddenly very aware, maybe even a little bit dizzy. Just working on that. Beautiful. All right, let's start to come out of that. So open those eyes back up. Or if you want to do the whole practice with your eyes closed, that's actually a really cool challenge. Take that inhale, start to come up. Press those hands just above the knees, roll those shoulders back and down, flattening through the back. Extend the head nice and long. So good. Hanging out here just for a moment, letting everything rebalance with the head and the blood flow. And then through the knees, start to sink those hips. The safest way to come up to standing is right like this, a little bit through chair pose. You can bring the hands to heart center, engaging a little bit more. Press all the way up to standing. Reach it up nice and tall. Take that big inhale. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach it up. If you want a little back bend, if you're ready for that, maybe you just send your arms back behind you. Maybe you start to look up. Maybe you start to reach back. Keep lengthening through the spine, but just don't crumple down into it. Come on back, hands to heart. Beautiful. Let's step those right toes back. Coming into a nice little high lunge position. We'll start to work through it all. But right now, shoulders and hips are aligning towards the front of the mat. And to keep this easier, shorten your stance and don't bend your knee as much. And that'll make your lunge position easier. You can always drop that back knee down at any point if that is also supportive for you. So if you want more challenge, you're sinking into that knee. If your knee is really far over your foot, that's a good indicator that you can have some braveness, some boldness, and lengthen your stance. But if it's kind of anywhere at that over the foot, not over the toes, then you're in a good spot. Cool, roll left hip back, push that right hip forward. Nice lunge. This is starting to stretch out that right hip flexor, maybe even into the right quad a little bit. I feel this into my quad, but I know some people don't. So it might just be a hip flexor stretch for you. Next, let's bring those hands to heart center, roll those shoulders back and down. Take a big inhale breath. Exhale, press into the feet, engage the core. Nice and strong through those feet. Let's start to twist towards the left, adding a nice little rotation in. So good. Maybe you stay up nice and high. Option to hang out here. Option to start to bow down, maybe just rest the body on the leg. Maybe start to twist a little extra, trying to hook the elbow on the knee. Working towards that. If that's the case, press hard into the hands to open up that left shoulder, spinning it up. If you want a little more still, maybe you have a block. Then you bring your hand down onto the block, left hand on the hip. I like the block because there's 3 levels to it. You have your nice and high, you have your medium, and your low. It just simply brings the ground closer. Now I have that feedback into wrist, elbow, shoulder, and then I can stack shoulder on top of shoulder with that nice feedback. If you want a little more, left hand can reach up. So good. Nice little twisty stretch. So strong on the legs. Inhale, lengthen through the head. Get those ears far from the shoulder. Let's exhale, starting to come out of this. Maybe you bring that hand down. Maybe you just set your block off to the side. Aligning back through center, pressing into the feet. And come on back up. Nice little high lunge. So good. Let's drop that right heel down and adjust the foot more into that warrior 2 stance. Aligning the back of the foot, the arch with the front. Beautiful. Straightening through the leg, adding a bend, coming back into it. Nice and strong warrior two legs. Let's bring some awareness to those hips and to the shoulders. And the odds are you're kind of facing towards that top corner of the mat. Let's try to open it up, having the north and south floor aligning it with the long edge of the mat. Take an inhale, lengthen. Exhale. Pressing into it, imagine that right hip spinning open and drawing that right shoulder open. Beautiful. So to demonstrate what I'm going for, lots of times as we just step into our warrior two, and if we were to honestly put our arms out, this is where we would be. So we're working on adding that twist and that opening and trying to bring our hands forward and back. So if you want to give that a try, come to where it feels kind of neutral and then press into that opening. How's that front leg feeling? Excellent. Take that nice inhale. Exhale. So nice and strong. Keep imagining that opening. So good. And let's straighten through that front leg, giving it a nice little break. And start to reach forward, coming into another little hamstring stretch. And reaching forward as much as you can here. That's what it's all about. Keep pressing into the legs. You can have a little gentle bend to that front knee, especially if you naturally hyperextend a lot. Keep reaching and reaching. And then drop that hand down. Wherever it lands is good. Roll that right shoulder open. Nice little triangle pose. The whole purpose of triangle is getting into that front leg hamstring. So that's ideally where we're trying to feel it. And then it's opening up through the side body as well. Roll those shoulders away from the ears. Level one, hand on hip. One little more. You can reach that hand up. You want more still. Reaching it up overhead, making that beautiful line. Pressing in nice and strong. Keep spinning that top shoulder open. Excellent. Bend through that front leg. Push into the legs. Use that power. Come on, back up into our nice little warrior two. Inhale, nice and strong. Notice the pause. Exhale. Nice and deep. Notice the pause. Bring the hands back towards heart center. Lengthening through the spine, keeping those shoulders nice and relaxed. Let's start to twist towards the left. Hopping up onto that back toe, transitioning this back into that high lunge. Your feet are going to be closer together. Might be harder to balance. Totally normal. If you want, you can hop that foot out towards the right. But really, we're just going to bend through that back knee, coming down to our low lunge, and then you can adjust the stance however you need to, bringing either the knee closer or farther apart, or wider or narrower on your mat. I'm going to try to untuck my back toes, but really it doesn't matter. So hanging out here in your lunge, if you want a little more, pushing the hips forward, we'll start to add some length into that quad. Working on quads and hamstrings. Real good. The more you push those hips forward, the more lengthening is happening on that back leg. Keep rolling that left hip back. Keep trying to push that right hip forward. If you want more for the quad, you can work on bending that back knee, but be mindful of the fact that you've got your patella, your kneecap, pressing down in towards the mat. So maybe you need some extra padding to bend the knee. I'm not really loving that feeling or sensation this morning, so I'm sure if maybe I'll add some padding and I'll try it. Roll the mat over. Oh, see, much better. So adding that bend, maybe even reach back for the foot, drawing it in towards, maybe get a little hamstring, Charlie horse. I started working on these moves with my hamstrings. They've never been the same since. And they seize up so easy. I was thinking about teaching them a yoga class, but not after that. Maybe I was doing it wrong. So anyway, so that was that explanation. Nice little lunge. Excellent. Let's transition this into our lizard or our monkey, wherever you want to go with it. At some point, as you start to find some openness, I got two options. Your lizard is bringing your hands to the inside of the foot. Maybe you need a little block to add that extra bit of height in. You can wiggle that left foot out just to make room for your shoulders. So here's a variation of your lizard. You can let that knee open up, falling open. You can't quite see it there. But one thing I've been really enjoying is trying to add in the hamstring stretch. So I'm walking that left foot forward. Working on our monkey. That's really all it is. At some point, your low lunge will start to transition into more of this little monkey variation. Maybe you come down all the way and you work on doing the splits. But for now, this is just kind of where I hang out. So think of it as you have that low lunge stretch and pushing the hips forward all at the same time. You don't have to go for monkey. It's just what I want to play around with. So we do lots of hip openers out towards the side, getting external rotation. But in this variation, we're getting kind of that north and south open. Or if you are letting that knee fall outward, you are getting that nice external rotation. Maybe it feels really good. The open knee lizard was my favorite for a long time until, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. Oh my gosh, forever ago it feels like. A friend of mine wanted to work on her splits, and she's like, how long do you think it would take to learn how to do the splits and like condition your body? We had zero fitness routine in our life. Like there was nothing happening. But we figured we could probably try it in about 3 weeks. So we tried it for 4 days. Didn't get very far. And now as I learn more about the body, I'm thinking about trying it again. So just working on it. All right, I'm gonna slowly wiggle my foot back in. This is the downside of a super sticky mat. This is wiggling in. It's not glamorous. But look, we did it. So starting to come back to that neutral, maybe you draw that knee in towards the shoulder. Maybe you frame that front foot or walk that foot back towards center. Even if your forearms are up, that's still a great option. We've got lots of lengthening and stuff happening on that back knee. So let's nice and slowly release it just by pressing into that front leg and coming into that bit of a runner's stretch. Giving this a little moment to rebound. If you want, you can stay up nice and high and bring the hands on the hips, flexing through that foot. If you want a little more, you can add a forward fold in. Just pulls more on that back line of that left leg. If you went for the monkey, you might be able to get into this a little bit deeper. Excellent. You start to come out of it, start to bend through that front knee. Excellent. Maybe you're resting forearms on the leg or framing that front foot. We're going to tuck those back toes under, working on coming back up into our high lunge. So pressing into those legs, really strong. Back knee lifts. Body comes up. Oh, so good. Excellent. Let's drop that back heel down, pointing both toes towards the long edge of the mat. And getting ready to work on our wide-legged forward fold. So maybe you heel toe your feet closer together. Maybe they go farther. It doesn't really change anything in the fold. Just changes the height your head is to the ground. Take a nice inhale breath. Lengthen, lift through the heart. Start to tuck those elbows back behind you. Exhale, feeling that hinge from the hips, maybe giving those fingers a little squeeze, and start to bow down, coming into your version of a fold. You can keep a gentle bend to the knees. Hands can start to track down the legs. Working on those inner thighs, glutes, hamstrings is where we'll start to feel this. Maybe you have your hands on a block, maybe they come down to the ground. Feeling that nice connection in with the breath. I like to make sure I have equal weight in my toes and in my heels. Oftentimes we'll just keep it a little bit more one in the other. Excellent. And if you have your hands down on the ground, start to walk your hands towards the left. If you have hands on the leg, just start to bend into that left knee. Maybe you bring the elbow down onto the knee. starting to press extra into that right side. If you've got your hands down, really bending. If you want a little more, you can start to drop those hips down and maybe that right foot toes spin up. If you want a little more, so I've got a little toe stand happening here. Maybe your heel comes down, maybe it doesn't. If you want more, you can try the balance, releasing the hands. Working on it, even if you get it for a nanosecond. Pressing into the foot, into the toes, so active. Excellent. I'm going to drop my hands back down and plant that right foot back in, and then start to press in and coming up. Bring those hands towards the opposite side, or maybe from your elbow being planted, you just start to shift into the other side, hanging out here. So even if you're working here, you can still work on pressing in, and you can still spin the foot out if you want a little balance activity, or bring those hands down, really pressing, really lengthening, coming up on my right toes, left toes point up. Then I'm going to work on the toe stand, the balance on this side. So lots of little inner thighs on this move here. So good. If you have your heel down here, that's a-okay as well. That is not how my body works, but you can actually do this as a seated variation as well, working on getting your sits bones down to the ground. For me, that feels impossible. Maybe one day, but I've seen it done, and if your body works like that, that's not wrong. It's wonderful. It's my dog checking out the window. All right, let's bring those hands back down and plant that foot in. Start to press on up and just make your way back to that nice neutral wide-legged forward fold. So good. Hi. You're on camera, did you know that? So she'll walk away. Okay. Bring a gentle bend to the knees. Starting to just flex in. Notice how the hips start to lower. We're going to come out of this nice and safely, bringing the elbows above the knees. Roll those shoulders back and down. Think of it as our half lift. And pressing into the legs. Maybe bring your hands in, coming up a little higher, and then start to straighten up all the way. Maybe you reach it up. Gotta take a little star pose. Nice counter to that wide-legged forward fold. Exhale. Release hands to heart center or just down. And we're going to transition to the other side. So if you want, you can face the back of your mat and just point right toes forward. And start to hop up into your high lunge. Or if you need to have the front, step to the top of the mat. Send your opposite foot back, meeting in that nice high lunge. I'm gonna spin around so my back's not towards you. Your choice there, not forcing you to be at the back of your mat today. All right, finding that nice high lunge, adjusting the feet as you need to. Keep rolling your right hip back, keep pressing the left hip forward. And I love the hands on the hips option. For this, finding that length through the back line. Bring the hands to heart center. Pressing in nice and strong. Maybe you add an extra little bend to that front leg. So good. Holding here for a nice big inhale. Notice that little pause. Exhale. Notice the pause. Let's take one more of those. Breathing in. Noticing the pause. Exhale. Taking that pause. Beautiful. Just making sure we hold this on the same time on either side. I'm sure I did a lot more talking on the other side. Let's start to add that twist and twisting towards the right, pressing into those feet. Nice and strong. Option one is staying up nice and high. Option two is starting to bow down. And option three, hooking elbow on the knee, pressing into those hands really firmly, rolling that right shoulder over. Option four, and the left hand down on the ground on a block, and the right hand on hip, or right hand up. So lots of options with this one. Just a nice twisted lunge is all we're going for. Drawing those ears away from the shoulder. Big inhale. Nice exhale. So good. Playing around, taking one more breath. And take that exhale, start to maybe lower that hand down. Maybe start to come up. Squaring those shoulders towards the front. Pressing into those legs. Find your way back in that nice high lunge. Let's drop that left heel down and spin those left toes open. Maybe adjusting the foot, making your way into that nice warrior two position. You can give that front leg a little break if it's screaming at you. Then add that nice bend in. Let's bring that awareness to the shoulders and the hips. Rolling left shoulder open. Making sure that the knee stays over the foot here. So not necessarily lengthwise, back and forth, but not falling inward, not rotating outward. So keeping that nice and strong through there, spinning open. So good. Let's bring those arms up. Nice inhale breath, becoming weightless in the head and the shoulders. Exhale, nice and strong. And let's align, just coming back towards that neutral of how we normally stand, and then spin it open. Feeling that little adjustment through the hips. Let's come back and open. Let's just take one more. It's feeling really good on this side. Opening it up. So good. So nice and strong. Pressing into those legs. Feeling it. Let's give that leg a little break. Straightening through the leg. You can bring that left hand down onto the hip. Right hand starts to reach forward. All about that reach, keeping those shoulders nice and aligned. Reach a little more forward. You can have a gentle bend to that front leg if you want. And then when you're ready, hand plants down. Roll left shoulder open. So much opening through this leg, through the hip. It's all pretty subtle. Letting it feel pretty good. Pressing in nice and strong. Working on that triangle. So option 1, hand on hip. Option 2, and reaching up towards the ceiling. Gaze can go up with it as well. That'll keep that shoulder open. Option 3, hand overhead. Lengthening through those ribs, through that underarm. Beautiful. Ultimately getting that hamstring to stretch. So if you have a deep bend to your knee here, you're probably not getting that hamstring. So maybe try coming up a little higher. Bending in through the hip, through the side body. You might be able to find some more length through the leg. Beautiful. All right, let's come out nice and safe, adding that bend in, pressing up to our nice warrior two. Take a nice inhale breath. Take that pause. Take the exhale. And take that pause. So good, hands to heart center. And start to rotate around towards the right. Coming back into that little high lunge position, popping up on those back toes just for a little moment, and then drop that left knee down. Coming into our low lunge. Adjusting the distance, playing around with the feet, distance between knee and foot, and even width back and forth or from side to side. Maybe your forearms hang out up here. If that's the case, just make sure you're not punching into it. Keep trying to find that length. I like to start out nice and high. Push those hips forward. If you want to try adding that bend to the knee, option to roll up that mat, add some extra padding, and then work on bringing that foot up. Nice inhale, lengthen. Exhale, roll right hip back. So good. Nice inhale. Nice full exhale. Excellent. And trying to get into quads, into hip flexors, letting it be good. Let's start to bring it down. Maybe rest forearms here. Maybe hands frame that front foot, or come to the inside of it, walking that foot out towards the right a little bit. Using your block, your flower pot, whatever you got. as a prop. And if you want that lizard, you can let that knee fall open and coming onto the side edge of the foot. And if you want to play around with your monkey, adding in that hamstring stretch. My mat is real sticky, so I'm just gonna, there we go. Work on that adjustment. And coming into whatever variation you want here. We'll be here for about 7 to 10 breaths. So if you want to settle in, if you want to come out of it at any point, that's an option too. Listen to your body though. You don't have to go too deep in it. Finding that edge is not dealing with no pain, no gain. Finding that edge is finding that area of challenge where it's not comfortable, has some challenge to it, but is not painful. So if you tip over that line towards pain, make an adjustment, either ease off or change into a different variation. Working through and maybe trying to connect with the breath. They say that the real yoga starts when you feel like coming out of the pose. So I like to hold things, to challenge that, to work with the breath, to maybe fight with the mind. Taking another breath or two. Trying to find a little bit of softness. Are you clenching your teeth? Are you holding your breath? Remembering to breathe. Letting it go, relaxing through those shoulders. Excellent. All right, let's start working on coming out. Bringing that foot back towards a more neutral position. Maybe you just bring that knee in towards shoulder, or you walk that foot and frame the foot. We're going to work on coming up to standing here. So tucking those back toes under. Pressing in nice and firm to the feet, starting to lift that back knee. I always like to take a little hop there, no idea why. And then lifting the body. Coming back up. And if you're facing towards the top of your mat, just simply step towards the top of your mat. Or if you want to transition, dropping that heel down. Facing towards the front. And then taking that nice big step. Inhale, reach it up nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, sink into your chair, maybe hands at heart. And then bowing down into your forward fold. Starting to feel those hamstrings. Maybe you notice a little difference between now and the beginning of class. Just adding that little pulse in just because I love to. Feels really good on the back line of my legs. Making sure you don't overstretch it though as you pulse. Beautiful. Let's inhale. Nice little halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees so you can plant those hands. Take that nice big step back into a downward dog. Just stretching it out really good. Pressing into those hands. Into the feet. And then let's drop the knees. Spinning around. Making your way into a reclined position. Getting a little cool down in. Finishing off. Rolling those shoulders back and down. A little tuck of the tailbone, pressing that low back in. I've got my feet planted. Knees are up in the air. Take a nice inhale and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, letting it go. Feel like that melting into your mat sensation. Beautiful. Let's just hug the left knee in towards the chest. If you need a little more on the hip, you can give a little rock from side to side. Or do a couple little circles. If you want more still, right leg extend nice and long. Nice big squeeze. A little rock. Excellent. Beautiful. One more breath here. Big inhale. Nice exhale. Planting that left foot in towards the mat. You can start to hug that right knee in. You're gonna get a nice squeeze. Maybe you take a little rock from side to side. Maybe that left leg extends long. Just working out any last little knots or tension areas in that hip. Take a nice big inhale. Nice full exhale. Taking your last breath here, big inhale, exhale. Start to release that right leg. Maybe you just plant it down. Maybe you extend both legs nice and long. Let's take that nice good morning stretch. Reaching it up overhead, getting as tall as possible. So good. Exhale, relax through the arms. Maybe you start to hug the knees in towards the chest. Having both come in at the same time, you could just rock from side to side, or you could reach through the legs for the feet, the ankles, the back of the knees, wherever you want to grab onto, and finishing off in this nice little happy baby. Nice little tuck of the chin. Maybe you actively pull into the feet, kick into the hands, extend the head nice and long. Resetting the spine, so good. And then relaxing. Maybe taking a little freestyle. Is there any other pose or movement your body is craving? Maybe feet go up towards the sky. Maybe you want a little cobbler pose. If you want some obvious external rotation, soles of the feet together, knees fully open. Maybe you just want a windshield wiper, the knees from side to side. Excellent. So today's class is about strengthening and stabilizing through the hip in standing postures. I hope that you still notice a difference in that hip area, even though we didn't overtly get into it. There was no walking on the ceiling, no hip flexor torture. We still got quads and hamstrings and hip flexors nicely stretched. Taking some time to settle into your Shavasana. Let's come back to that intention you might have set at the beginning of class. Just taking a little moment to remember it. And then if you want, you can come back into that nice 4-part breath. Letting it be a nice anchor for the mind during your time of relaxing and restoring. Even if you just need to imagine that window, I'll count it out for a count of 3. And getting ready, and taking that nice inhale for 3, 2, 1. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 2, 1. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Let it go for 3, 2, 1. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Take that inhale. Feel free to return to that normal rate of breathing, or continue with that square breath, counting it out, or just feeling the pause as you please. This is where I say goodbye and leave you for today. I thank you so much for joining me in on my Happy Hips class. I hope you feel wonderful and great. Hope you learned something with breathing or anatomy, or just had some fun with me. Always delightful. I hope you have just a wonderful rest of your day filled with moments of joy, and I pray that you are always blessed. Thank you so much, and namaste. Tomorrow is Friday. First Friday of the month is Chair Yoga Day, so bring a chair, preferably a harder one, and get going with that. Excellent.